Hi, my name is Ivan Moser, and it is my pleasure to summarize our research in this video for the iLRN conference. In our study, we investigated whether the motion tracking data provided by a VR headset and hand controllers could be used as an estimate of cognitive load. Let me start with some background information about why we think that it is important to know about the cognitive load of learners and why this is especially relevant in virtual reality. When looking at the existing research about VR in education, it is remarkable that students almost always report high levels of engagement. However, it is important to note that the effectiveness of learning in VR is highly debatable. In fact, a growing number of studies report either no difference or even worse learning outcomes in VR compared to other media. It has been suggested that the rich multisensory input of VR might produce cognitive overload that hinders learning. But how is cognitive load typically measured? Most frequently with questionnaires, and for a good reason. After all, questionnaires can easily be administered, and educators can choose from several options that provide reliable and valid measures. There is one important caveat though. Using a questionnaire always means that the answers are retrospective since they are given after the learning experience. Of course, questionnaires could also be given during learning, but this is suboptimal as it interrupts the learning process. Recording physiological signals, on the other hand, is unobtrusive and provides real-time measures of cognitive load. However, it can be quite costly and cumbersome to use specialized equipment. Therefore, what can be seen as an exciting alternative for research might not be something applicable in education. Taken together, both approaches have their own advantages and disadvantages. Is there a measurement that can combine the best of both worlds? We argue that it comes in the form of motion tracking. What might seem counterintuitive at first is actually not so far-fetched. In fact, there is a large body of research showing that the human motor system and cognition compete for limited processing resources. Varying the cognitive load has noticeable effects on various motion parameters, such as posture, arm movements, or gait. And this brings us to our hypothesis. If cognitive load influences human motion, then one could argue that VR motion tracking data could be used to estimate cognitive load in return. To test this hypothesis, we have started collecting data for which we now present the preliminary results. In terms of methods, we closely adopted the methods from another study that used physiological measures to predict cognitive load. And this is what the task looks like. The participants are placed in this virtual spaceship where they work on what is called an NBAC task. They are exposed to sequences of colored balls that appear in front of them. Every time a new ball appears, they have to quickly make the correct choice. If the current ball has the same color as the ball presented N trials before, they have to place it in the treasure chest. All other balls have to be placed in the vase on the opposite side. In this video, you can see an example of a two-back task. The participant places the ball in the treasure chest if it has the same color as the ball presented 2 trials before. To predict the NBAC level, we used a recurrent neural network. This particular type of a neural network is well suited to work with sequential data. As input, we recorded 18 features, that is, the X, Y, and Z coordinates and rotational vectors of the VR headset and the 2 hand controllers. The collected data was divided into 60% train data, 20% validation data, and 20% test data. The test data was used to assess the performance of the model. Our analysis has revealed some promising results. We were able to predict the NBAC level with an accuracy of 88%. Therefore, we now have preliminary evidence that motion tracking data can serve as a marker of cognitive load. Of course, some open questions remain. For example, can our results generalize to other tasks? Or can motion tracking data distinguish between different sources of cognitive load? I thank you for your interest in this study, and I wish you a wonderful time at the iLRN conference.